Story number 1. During my night shift at a medium-sized hotel, I primarily attended to customers checking in or out. However, the nights were usually quiet with minimal foot traffic. One particular night, amidst a heavy storm, a man arrived at the entrance but quickly left without entering. Although peculiar, I assumed he had forgotten something and needed to retrieve it from his car. Since I hadn't seen him before, it was not unusual given that most guests checked in during the day. Shortly after, I received a call from an external number, and the man on the line requested assistance with bringing in his luggage from the front lot. Despite the oddness of the situation, I agreed to help if he parked near the entrance. However, instead of waiting for him inside, I grew impatient and went outside to check. To my surprise, the man was across the parking lot gesturing for me to join him. Suspicious of his intentions, I returned to my desk without offering any assistance, expecting him to park in front of the hotel. Yet, moments later, he abruptly entered the lobby, out of breath and standing a few feet away. He repeated his request for help with his suitcase, emphasizing that he had already taken it out of his car. I felt a strong sense that something was amiss. In an attempt to confirm his status as a guest, I asked him if he had a room reservation and needed to check in before proceeding. His reaction was hostile, demanding my immediate assistance while expressing annoyance at the question. Irritated by his attitude, I informed him that I had left his bags outside in the rain, and if he refused to check in, he would be asked to leave. Infuriated, he stormed out, flipping me off as he exited. He did not return for the remainder of the night, and I informed the morning staff about the incident. It became clear that the man was not a hotel guest, but rather an unknown individual attempting to lure me into his car on a stormy night. This encounter left me thoroughly unsettled. Story number 2. Although I usually prefer flying, I had to embark on a road trip due to a family member's funeral. The journey was approximately 10 hours long, and I packed enough supplies for a week. Setting off at 10 a.m., I anticipated reaching my cousin's house in a single day without needing to stop at a hotel. However, a storm started brewing a few hours into the drive, and soon I found myself driving through heavy rain and thunder. The roads, spanning plains and small forests, lacked proper drainage, causing me to slow down to avoid potential hazards. At one point, I encountered a flooded section of the road and had to turn back, seeking an alternative route. These unforeseen circumstances prolonged my journey, and after nearly 8 hours of driving, I still had 5 hours to go. With the sun setting and exhaustion creeping in, I knew I needed to find a place to rest before continuing. Eventually, I stumbled upon a small town with minimal infrastructure, but without any motels. The best option was a parking lot near a local grocery store, where I parked my car. The town was eerily quiet, with only a few streetlights illuminating the empty roads. Taking precautions, I locked my car and surveyed my surroundings before reclining my seat and attempting to sleep. Though it may have seemed unwise in hindsight, the late hour and heavy rain made it seem safer than parking alone on an empty road. I dozed off to the sound of rain pounding on my car. Upon awakening, I noticed the intensifying thunder and lightning, casting a darker atmosphere over the parking lot. In the distance, I discerned a figure steadily approaching my car. I observed, hoping they would divert their path, but it became evident that they were heading straight for me. Rain obscured my vision, but as they came within 20 feet, I recognized it was a man. Unease settled in, especially considering his nonchalant demeanor in the pouring rain. However, since he didn't appear to be carrying anything, I felt somewhat confident that he couldn't break into my car. Yet, when he was just a few feet away, he approached the back door and placed his hands flat against it, attempting to push my entire car. Bewildered, I struggled to comprehend his actions, but it was evident that this man was mentally unstable. In response, I started the car, illuminating the headlights as a warning. Surprisingly, the man remained unfazed, persisting with his attempts to push the vehicle. Fed up with the situation, I slowly reversed, and the man followed for a couple of steps before letting go. He stood and watched as I drove away, only returning to his previous location once I had left. Determined not to make any further stops, I continued my journey without interruption, finally arriving at my cousin's house. Story 3. I resided in a remote house in Washington state, surrounded by forests and distant neighbors. Despite being accustomed to isolation, a chilling incident at the age of 14 instilled fear in me. During spring break, my parents had planned a trip to Florida, but due to a work complication, we had to cancel it. As a consolation, they took me to a water park. After spending several hours there, a storm approached, forcing everyone to leave quickly. Upon returning home, the storm unleashed its fury, accompanied by heavy rain, thunder, and lightning. However, strange occurrences began unfolding. We noticed the garage door wide open, though my mom had recalled closing it completely. Perplexed, we entered the house, and while my parents settled on the couch, I headed upstairs to my room. Halfway up the stairs, I heard faint movement in the hallway. Hastening my steps, I found my bedroom lights on, despite not having touched them. Uncertain, I hesitated outside my room, listening intently. Eventually, I cautiously opened the door, expecting to find a rodent, but there was no trace of one. Puzzled, I examined the room, which appeared undisturbed. However, a shadow passed under the door, revealing the presence of a person. Alarmed, I stood up, feeling trapped in my room. I urgently texted my dad, who promptly ascended the stairs upon receiving the message. Trembling, I whispered my discovery, and we hurried back downstairs. Just as we reached the bottom step, we heard a loud thud from upstairs, followed by the sound of rapid footsteps approaching. In the living room, my dad grabbed a bat, anticipating a confrontation. The footsteps raced down the stairs, culminating in the front door flinging open, allowing the intruder to escape into the distance. We contacted 911, but the response time was delayed due to our secluded location. The police investigated, yet the intruder was not found. The unsettling realization emerged that the break-in was likely orchestrated by someone familiar with our vacation plans, leading us to question the loyalty of those close to us. Thanks for watching. Never forget to like, comment, and share the video. And remember to subscribe to the channel.